this is Shira, and we now will move on to the fixed signs for the November 2020 astrological forecast. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So first, let's look at the sign of Taurus or Taurus Rising. Taurus, you have the full moon in your natal or solar first house, and that is the first seventh house axis. So what does the first house mean with a full moon in Taurus? Well, the full moon in Taurus this year will occur on Halloween, October 31st. With the full moon in Taurus in your first house, there could be a little bit of a crisis with some criticism toward you, or the first house is of how we project ourselves and how we feel internally. So there is very likely going to be a certain shakeup from within and how you feel because of some possible outward criticism. However, even if there is some unexpected negativity from uncertain areas of people closest to you or from acquaintances, just remember that this full moon will pass. And especially since the axis is your seventh house, and you have the Sun, then Mercury on the 11th, and Venus on the 22nd in your seventh house. So just let your light shine, so to speak, with your public relations and being very gracious and communicative towards those in business and relationships, because you will shine there this month, Taurus. It's great for connecting with all people from any walk of life this month, Taurus. So if there is some unexpected moon with Uranus, criticism or some uncertainty or conflicts with people personally, just remember this too shall pass, Taurus, and you will be just fine. Now, you do have the Capricorn stellium of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in your natal or solar ninth house. So perhaps of late, Taurus, you have been thinking about going back to school or doing some lengthy research, possibly with school or with your job. This is going to be a great time, especially in November, for the focus on all studying. Okay, and if you have not yet signed up for classes, great time to begin that. And of course, the ninth house connection is great for contracts, but because early on in November, there is a square between Jupiter and Venus, please get some legal advice regarding contracts. And speaking of which, there may be a lawsuit or legalities that come to a head this month, and they will very likely be favorable to you, especially with Jupiter's presence with your ninth house. Okay, now you have the Pisces Neptune in your 11th house. So as of late, Taurus, you may feel like there's been a little bit of confusion regarding friends or people that you consider friends. Neptune there kind of casts a little bit of a shady cloud over communications. So you may have some trust issues right now with some friends. And be careful of new friends entering your life. Make sure you really get to know them and make sure that they are on the level with you and really honest and forthright. And of course, the 11th house does rule speculation. So be careful with gambling too. You don't want to lose more than you put out. Okay, and you have Mars in your 12th house in retrograde Aries still. So this is a good time, Taurus, to kind of get some rest and relaxation. You've really been, as of late, overtaxing yourself as far as mental stress and strain. Maybe there's been some medical issues that you've been concerned about, especially with Mars retrograde. Maybe as of late you heard some disturbing secrets, all because of that Mars retrograde in Aries. The theme will continue into November. So the best thing you can do is just think positive, because the 12th house also rules meditation and reflection. So just kind of be as forward looking as you can and try to quelch the negativity. All right. Now, for the first half of the month, Taurus, you have Venus in your 6th house. So this is going to be great with cooperation and peace with those you work with or your superiors, bosses, managers. Also, you may decide you want to get a pet this month, or there may be some care for animals that will go rather smoothly in November. And if you're looking for work, this is going to be a great time to find a job where you feel kind of at ease. You feel like you like the environment. Maybe the environment at this job is rather attractive to you to some way, or maybe you will get along really well with the managers. But at any rate, it's going to be good for obtaining a really nice job. So for you, Taurus, November may prove a little bit nerve-wracking because of the full moon in your 1st house. However, if you can just remain positive, then you will benefit much from the influences in November as well. Okay, so moving on, we have Leo rising. And Leo, you also have an eventful time in store for you this November 2020. Okay, so you have the Scorpio influence, the sun, and then on the 11th, Mercury in your solar or your natal 4th house. And again, yes, 4th house rules family. So if there has been some conflicts with family, this month might be the time to smooth them over. However, the conflicts may still remain because of the 4th, 10th house axis. So there may be some issues with family because maybe you're getting ahead with your job, or you're getting some well-deserved accolades. So that kind of influence might be over you connected with family. However, with the sun and Mercury there, it's a great time to open up and really kind of do some deep discussions and really connecting on a deep level with your family, especially with Scorpio there. You may find some family secrets out too this month with that Scorpio influence on your 4th house. Okay, and you have still the Capricorn stellium in your 6th house. And the 6th house is of work. The last year, things have probably eased up a little bit for you with work or relations with superiors and connections and communications with coworkers because of Jupiter's influence. However, over the last 2.5 years with Saturn there may be problems with coworkers. There could have been problems with bosses, or just finding a job, or maybe you lost your job. However, now and then in November with Jupiter's influence there, this is a great time to connect on a better level with your coworkers, bosses, and if you've been unemployed, this is going to be the time for you, Leo, to find that perfect job for you. And it's also going to be a good time for your health as well. All right, and moving along, we have the Aries Mars in your solar or natal 9th house. And for you, Leo, the Aries influence there, especially retrograde, may have created some conflict connected with some kind of banking, financial institution, or educational institution, and it could have created some conflicts with certain contracts, negotiations that you were heeding. That theme kind of continues into November. And again, the 9th house, like the 7th house, rules contracts, legalities. So with the retrograde Mars there, please be careful of all legalities right now. So if you heed that, you will be fine. And the full moon of Taurus is in your natal or 10th house, Leo. And 10th house is career. With the full moon there between the 4th and 10th house axis, you will have to be careful of possibly jealousy from your workplace or people closest to you, or there could be some kind of unwelcome or surprising moon with Uranus conflicts with those that are pretty much just as ambitious as you are. And so there's going to be that added sense of competition to get the rewards or maybe a promotion, and that could create some kind of conflict. And also, of course, be aware of your reputation in November, especially if the full moon is on your midheaven. Okay, but if you are mindful of some of the career conflicts, you will be just fine. Okay, and you have Neptune also in your 8th house, and the 8th house, Leo, is one of depth. It is one of transformation. And Neptune in Scorpio in the house, Neptune in Pisces in the house of Scorpio is very deep-seated indeed. So you may feel like you've tried to make some transformation, 8th house, and changes, but it's been really hard for you. Maybe you've wanted to move, or maybe you've wanted to get out of a relationship and change your life or emotionally you've been going through a lot of ups and downs, and things have been kind of confusing for you psychologically. However, with the trine between the Sun and Scorpio and Mercury and Neptune this month, you should find that your deep sense of psychology will change for the better in November. You may feel like, for example, you can open up to people more, they'll be more receptive. It's a great time to do some soul searching. And yes, with that Neptunian influence in your 8th house, it's a wonderful time, Leo Rising, to look into some of your belief systems, spirituality. Also, be careful if you are buying or selling property right now, because although the 8th house does not rule contracts, there could be some concerns over buying or selling property. Also, maybe you will be called upon to oversee a trust. So all these issues will require assistance by a professional. Look to an attorney before you sign any contracts, Leo. All right, and the next sign we will look at is Scorpio rising. Okay, and Scorpio, now you have the full moon in Taurus in your natal or seventh house. And so Scorpio, you are of course the opposite of the Taurus rising. So for you, you may not receive criticism personally this month. However, you may receive criticism about the way you are doing business. And again, this 7th, 9th house connection with legalities. Just make sure that even for you, Scorpio, if you sign any contracts, get legal advice first. If you are starting a relationship or partnership, there may be some issues and some discord in your business or personal relationships this month. If there are any breakups as far as a relationship, just remember, Scorpio rising, that things always get better and that this is just temporary. But all in all, just keep an eye out for all kinds of changes with regards to your relationships, and that's business, personal, all kinds. Okay, now moving along, Scorpio, you have again that axis, Scorpio Taurus, 1st, 7th axis, and you have the Scorpio connection with your 1st house this month. And so for you, it is a great time to put forward your best foot forward, because the Sun in your 1st house is where you're going to shine. Do something to make yourself feel good, spruce your house up or change your appearance. These will all prove attractive for you this month. Do a little something, take some R&R time to boost your self-esteem, make yourself feel good, because the Mercury placement there from the 11th on and the Sun until the 22nd, there is a marvelous influence for you in your 1st house. Okay, and Scorpio, you have the Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto stellium in your 3rd house. 3rd house is great for vehicles, purchasing a vehicle, or buying, selling. So you might be repairing a vehicle this month. You might be buying or selling, especially with Jupiter's influence there. This is a great time for that. The last 2.5 years, you probably have had your share of blocks with regards to third house matters, especially with Saturn there. Maybe you had a car, truck that had all kinds of repairs, uh, just some ups and downs with regards to vehicles. Also, there may have been some issues with neighbors or people within your vicinity, but now with Jupiter there, you're feeling a little bit more upbeat and lively about your neighborhood, your neighbors. Yes, getting a vehicle that is good for you, that runs, and possibly you may want to communicate more. The third house, kind of like the 11th house, is connected with the internet and social media. So in November, you may be especially busy with social media and internet, maybe looking into a business over the web or something similar. So that is going to be good for all third house matters this month. Okay, now you have Neptune, Scorpio rising in your 5th house. So for you, the Neptune retrograde influence has been kind of confusing with regards to issues with children or wanting to have children, expand on your family or that connection. Maybe if you are a single Scorpio rising, maybe the dating scene has been a little bit off for you. Some of the possible suitors have not been what they're saying they are. So be careful with social media and dating, that type of thing. However, Neptune makes a beautiful trine this month with the Scorpio Sun and Mercury. So whether you are married or single, in a relationship, it's a great time for just getting out and having fun and enjoying life a little bit, taking some trips. Also, the 5th house is one of creativity and expression. Maybe you've wanted to take up a hobby for some time, a musical instrument or sew or paint. The 5th house Neptune, even retrograde, is going to be a wonderful influence for all that this coming month, Scorpio rising. Okay, and up until the 22nd, Scorpio, you will have Venus in your natal or solar 12th house. Great time to do a little, again, R&R, and there may be people from your past that show up that you really have been thinking about and are welcome into your life right now, and you will have a very easygoing time reconnecting with them, going over the past, a lot of that 12th house influence. Also, if there's some kind of medical procedures that you've needed, well, guess what? This is going to be the time to have that done, or some kind of experimental medication, or anything holistically. Great time for all that too, Scorpio rising. Now moving along, we will look at Aquarius rising. And Aquarius, you have the full moon in your solar or natal 4th house. So for you, Aquarius rising, the upheaval this month is going to be connected with family or family relations, or because of that Uranus moon conjunction this month, there could be some unexpected conflicts with family, or there could be an unexpected concern regarding home repairs, or renovations with a house. But just remember that this too shall pass, and just to be aware of some of those fourth house concerns with family or with a physical property. Also, this is not the time to sign contracts with regards to real estate because of that moon Uranus conjunction, especially a full moon in your fourth house. So if you can hold that off to December, Aquarius rising, that would be great. Okay, and looking ahead, Aquarius, you have also the Capricorn stellium in your natal or solar 12th house. So wow, you have really been going through some psychological changes over the last 2.5 years with Saturn, with Pluto in your 12th house. However, because Jupiter has been there for the past year, you may feel a little bit more lighthearted. Maybe there was a little bit of some depression or insecurities, negative thinking, some extra burden and stress for you over the last 2.5 or so years. However, in November, with Jupiter's continued influence in your 12th house, and probably the last 6 months, year, you've been feeling a little bit more happier, more willing to just kind of take it easy. And I would still suggest that for you in the month of November. Just kind of just rest, relaxation, great time to meditate, maybe look into yoga. And also for you, Aquarius rising, because of the presence of Jupiter, this is also a good time to, if need be, look into possible new medications, medical procedures, if they are needed for you, because this will be a positive time for all of that as well. Okay, and you do have the Sun and on the 11th, Mercury this month in your 10th house. So Aquarius, the career thing is going to be your theme. That's something, especially with the Sun and Mercury there, that's going to make you happy this month. Maybe you now, Aquarius rising, will get some of the accolades that you have been waiting so long for, especially the Sun at the top of your chart, and especially if it's conjoining the midheaven. That will be especially rewarding for you. Okay, especially with that trine to Neptune. So if you've wanted to change careers, also Aquarius rising, this is the great time to change career or jobs. But whatever you do this month, there's going to be a lot of communication and a lot of busyness connected with your career. You may feel like, oh my goodness, when can I sit down? I'm just so busy talking with different people. And however, as busy and crazy as it may get for your career, your job, Aquarius rising, it will be equally rewarding for you. This is a great time, by the way, to ask for a promotion or for a raise. Okay, and up until the 22nd, Aquarius, you will have Venus in your natal or solar 9th house. So great time to also discuss business negotiations, go back to school if you are so inclined. Now you have Mars retrograde still in Aries, Aquarius rising, and that is in your 3rd house. So for you, just be mindful of driving, of possible conflicts with those in your vicinity, neighbors. However, if you kind of remain low-key with regards to your communications, you'll be just fine. So it looks like a very intense, somewhat of a difficult influence in November for all signs. However, there are some positives with November, and if we keep that in mind, we will be just fine. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact information is down below. I give one-on-one readings and written reports. Please subscribe to this channel and press the bell notification. Until next time, many, many blessings.